Walmart announcing plans today to dramatically step back from gun sales, specifically discontinuing all sales of ammunition for short barrel rifles and handguns, stopping sales of handguns entirely in the state of Alaska, the last state where Walmart sells them. And it's asking shoppers to no longer openly carry firearms in stores. This following 2 shootings at Walmart stores this summer. Andrew Ross Sorkin has been covering this issue, recently wrote an open letter to Walmart CEO Doug McMillon, calling for him to take action against gun violence. Andrew joins us now on the phone. Andrew, great to have you with us.
Hey, thank you.
I think most people would say this is a step in the right direction. It seems fairly narrow, though, compared to what you're calling for in your column. What's your assessment of these actions?
I'll tell you, I think this is a huge step. This is a huge step for a company that up until this past month and a half has grappled with this issue, but has been unwilling to do so in public. And I think the bigger issue here is less about what they're doing in the stores and more about what it says about the debate in Washington. If you really understand what Doug McMillon is doing today, he is publicly stepping into the arena on the issue of gun violence in America. He is writing letters to the president. He is writing letters to Congress. He is advocating not just for what he's doing inside his own stores, but for a larger debate in Washington on this issue. Virtually every CEO I've talked to since I began covering this about a year and a half ago and really advocating strongly for more sensible approaches to gun sales in America. And let me be clear, I have never, my argument has never been about stopping sales entirely. It's about saying point blank that we have a problem here and that the laws as constructed today don't work. And effectively, Doug McMillon has now said that is the case. And having the largest retailer in the country say that aloud, I think may now give license to all sorts of other CEOs and business leaders who thus far been very happy to talk on background or off the record about this privately, but have been unwilling to be part of this discussion. And when you think about all the money that's been involved in this debate over all of this time, the business community has largely stayed out of it out of fear. And I think that today the importance here of what may be changing, the tipping point, is actually the license that Doug McMillon is going to give every other business leader to talk about this.
What's the next domino in your view, Andrew? I mean, in terms of McMillon exerting some pressure here on other CEOs, I mean, could it be the banks falling in line as well, not providing financing for purchasing of guns?
Well, you know, thus far, Bank of America, Citigroup were the first big banks to step out on this issue in terms of providing financing to gun manufacturers, not to customers or the credit card networks. The question, of course, is whether the banking system is going to get interested in this issue, is going to start thinking, and the credit card industry start thinking about reasonable steps that they could take to create a responsible selling program, which I think is very, very possible. I also think you're going to see them talk about this in Washington. You know, for so many years, it's been, you know, the NRA versus, you know, very much lesser funded organizations. But I think that you're seeing the business community and corporate America say, you know what, this is actually something that impacts us. In the same way, by the way, that they've stepped out earlier in the past year on issues like immigration and so many other things. This was considered a third rail, but maybe now it's not. And so I think the bigger issue you're going to see is CEOs going to Washington from all walks of life, talking about this issue and putting pressure on lawmakers in a way that you haven't seen before. At least that is my hope. That's my optimistic take on where this all goes.
You wrote this open letter at the beginning of August, Andrew, and I'm wondering if you ever thought there would be policy changes at the stores this quickly. And I asked you this question because I'm wondering if you think that perhaps the next step is that Walmart could actually put pressure on the gun makers themselves, which is a step that you called for in that letter, that perhaps they can somehow exert their leverage on these gun makers to say, you know what, make guns with fingerprint technology, for instance.
I think that's a possibility. You know, one of the things that's gotten lost in today's announcement is that Doug has offered his compliance system, the computerized compliance system that Walmart uses currently, which, by the way, we should say is best in class. Walmart does not deserve the criticism to some degree that it's received over guns, in large part because it's probably one of the more responsible sellers of guns in America today. And what they've done now is offered their compliance system and programs for free to other retailers around the country. I think that's an important and interesting first step. And where that may go, again, you talk about exerting pressure on manufacturers, exerting pressure on other retailers, exerting pressure on the financing and banking system. I think that I think that this is going to give rise to some significant changes, both in the private sector, but also in the public sector and that public debate.
Andrew, thanks so much for phoning in. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Really appreciate it.